Hello, gorgeous human beings of the channel. A summit of sisterhood for me, for you, for us. Today, I am cozy. I'm wearing Kevin's big sweater. It's a cold fall morning, and we've got with us our own very cup of positivity. Dimple showed me the mug she's drinking out of. Her nephew got her this. Look at this cup of positivity. And I think there is no better way to explain the energy we're about to get this morning. Dimple has really been a very important piece of the puzzle for so many women in the channel. As you've already heard her name pop up multiple times, whether it's, being the guardian of one of the participants' children, or whether she's the one who activated a certain, an unleashing of a price point or a modality for someone. She's just really there for the sisterhood. And you probably noticed she's been on basically every single summit call, cheering everyone on. She really has leaned into love for so many of the participants and made a huge difference in their journeys. And it's been such an incredible thing to watch, even just the physical transformation of Dimple. Like when I look at you now and I think of the woman that came into the channel, it's like you just claimed your womanhood in this, because you're a 6'3" in human design, and 3'6" in human design. And that 6 line is that leader line, that role model line. And to come into that is a huge deal. And I feel like I saw so many aspects of that start to compound within the channel. Even just, I'm letting my hair go gray. I'm claiming myself. And it's like striking the difference of how youthful you actually look now that you've let go of trying to hold on to anything. You're more youthful, more beautiful than ever. And so I'm excited to see what we speak about today. I'm happy to bring you on, Dimple. Jump in. Come up with me.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, my word. What a blessing to witness each and every one of you. What a blessing to be witnessed. Thank you, Melanie. Thank you. It has been quite a bloody journey.
That's a good way to put that.
Right? Like, I want to just start by saying that, I have been privileged and honored to have learned through Trigger. And you have gifted me a gift that I will never, ever forget. And that was the gift of unconditional love, a portal that you demonstrated, because I was so triggered by you several times in this channel, and really not my highest and best behavior. And you honored me and saw me beyond the behavior. Your capacity to love unconditionally is outstanding. I've never witnessed that ever. And so for me, what you provided, Melanie, was a portal of I can jump through that portal and it's available to me. And for that, I'm forever grateful, because that enabled me to support and see every single one of these beautiful ladies, irrespective of my viewpoint, irrespective of my old stories of how people should and shouldn't be. So thank you for that. Thank you.
That's such an important thing. And I want to share, because I've heard this in my life before, you loved me unconditionally. And I want to just give you an idea of what that means if ever it comes up again in this channel. It is such a big deal what we're doing here. And it's not easy. It triggers everything when you're really playing. When you're not really playing, it doesn't trigger everything. You just pick and choose what feels good, and you just play where you want to play, and the rest you just leave behind. But on the day that you decide that you're going all in with something like this, and that you're in, that means you're not going to drop out when it starts to suck. And if you're not going to drop out when it starts to suck, there's sometimes a response that your nervous system is going to muster up, which is the last time you couldn't, this is not the same, but it feels this way, couldn't leave something you didn't want to be in. It'll trigger up authority stuff. It'll trigger up mom stuff. It'll trigger up you know, any time where you had to finish a project at school or had to do something for your boss or had to do, and there's an inner fight that comes out that is really you fighting your thoughts of not being free. And in that moment, we're almost like a caged animal in our spirit, how we feel. And it feels like we need to fight for our own freedom. And who we are in those moments are some of the ugliest that we can be. It doesn't represent us accurately at all. It doesn't represent our capacity or our potentiality. It represents the deepest, most fearful part of us that is terrified of losing something. And so in doing this work with my clients, I've seen over the decade I've been doing this, the caged animal experience of like, I'm fighting you because in this moment, it feels like you are making me do something where it's like, I'm not making you do something. You're the one that's choosing your transformation, but I get that it feels that way. And so in the beginning of my journey, I would easily get triggered by that kind of stuff. I'd be like, why are you fighting me? You hired me. Like, why are you fighting me? You say, I want to do big things. Then we go, let's go do big things. And you go, no, like what? But then I realized later down the road how freaking hard this is, and my compassion for the people who go through this journey. I'm like, I might get kicked in the face. I might get screamed at a bunch. But at the end, if I just calm down and let people go through what it actually takes to survive this thing, I'll probably get a thanks for holding that. That was a lot. Like, I'll probably get that because the maturity comes after the tantrum with ourselves, after the fight to survive, after that's when the maturity lands. When you look back and you go, oh, I wasn't actually in danger. I actually thought someone was out to get me when in fact, I've never been accepted in myself that way. And I thought I was going to lose everything when I appeared that way. And so I love that we were able to model that in the channel in such a beautiful way. And I did see, you know, you're a 3-line, I'm a 3-line. There's a lot of trial and error and all of that. But I think that what it represents and why I'm so happy about, you know, talking about this channel and how it wasn't a perfect journey. What makes it so real is that none of this is just like from the beginning, it was perfect. It was like, were we able to walk together even when the triggers came and even when it was like, no, or I don't want this, or and you know, for someone like Dimple or Varian that look at me like a younger girl, sometimes there is a feeling of like, I'm going to pick and choose when I honor you as a woman. Sometimes I'm going to need you to be a little brat that I can't handle because you're triggering me. And so I want you to be my mentor until I want to see you as a brat so that I don't need to deal with this stuff. And that I admire that because it's a huge freaking deal, but it's not easy for either one of us. And, you know, I think I admire so much the fact that we made it through the way that we did. And it says so much about this industry because most people that don't like an energy, they just leave. And for us through this, we access something so much more. So thank you for bringing that forward. And just for people to know, this isn't one of those like, I love you unconditionally, you can kick me and I don't care. It's like, I see what you're going through and I know this freaking sucks, but you got this. And I'll be there when you remember that you've got this. And I'm just really glad that we were able to model that because it was very impactful for a lot of people to watch that duality and that polarity kind of soften over the course of the channel.
Yeah, it was beautiful. Thank you. And what a beautiful lesson in all of that for everybody, us, everybody, right? So today I'd love to speak to why triggers are so beautiful and also my 3-6, the bugger that is. And how grateful I am that I turned 50 in the channel.
I'm leaning back for this one. Tell me everything.
I went grey and just like let it go. Like for 20 years, this sounds so ridiculous. So for 20 years, I hid in the dye. I coloured my grey for 20 years, right? Because I was scared that what if people judged me? Just something as simple as this. What if people judged me? So I would love to share over the next however long what I feel called to share. And I played with this whole idea back and forth. And then I just allowed. I'm a sacral authority. I just trust. And so I want to share with you guys a few stories. And I'm just going to see how they flow and how we go. So thank you for the privilege. Thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for knowing and appreciating in how we've set this up that triggers really are our gift. if we can see them as a gift, because I know through my trial and error, through like millions of triggers, that I am this woman today, and I will continue to welcome triggers because I respond in a different way as a result of the triggers now. And so I want to take you back to, and again, there is a trigger warning for these stories because it's the truth of who I am, and it's the life that I've been gifted to have. And so I want to invite you that if there is a trigger that comes up for you, rather than turn off, just notice it. Ask yourself, what is the learning in this? And allow yourself to be triggered. Just allow it to go through you. I know Juliet really gifted us an opportunity and a modality of how we can allow the shift to go through us. So
do you mind telling the people what a trigger might feel like in case they just wouldn't know the difference?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So for me, certainly a trigger is I feel hard done by. I feel like there isn't, it wasn't fair. And it feels tight and constrained in my body. And I feel like I want to, for me, there's, the whole when you're responding to fear, for me, it's either I fight or I freeze. Those are my two ways that I respond. Firstly, I withdraw and I freeze, and then I fight like a caged animal, quite literally like a caged animal, right? So understanding what your flavor is really valuable, right? What is your flavor when you are in fear? And where do you feel that trigger in your body? Right? Where do you feel it? I feel it right in my chest, and it's tight and I can't breathe. Some people feel it in their throat. Some people feel it in their shoulder. Where do you feel it? So starting to pay attention to that. And the other thing that I've witnessed in my maturity is not to react. Give myself a moment to breathe, because that's the other piece that I lose breath. Just give myself a moment. How can I breathe in this moment? Right? How can I take this golden opportunity? Thank you, because this is something that is old that's coming through me. And it may be something in this lifetime, in past lifetimes, maybe ancestral. It's a gift. It's coming because you're ready to deal with it. I was ready to deal with the triggers that Melanie gifted me. Right? And so maybe looking back at where you were triggered and how you navigated that is a starting point. It's different for everybody, and there are similarities as well. So thank you for that question. So I start my life, and I'm not going to go, don't worry, I'm not going to be in detail the whole time. I'm just going to do pivotal points of where there was absolute transition and what the learning was for me. Now, my story may not be the same as yours. It probably isn't. We're all unique. But what I hope to achieve in this conversation is that there is a gift in you understanding something that's aligned for you. So the context may not be the same, but what is the underlying message? And so we'll unpack that as we go along. And so this wild life that my soul has chosen started with my mother, and she was evicted from Africa in 73, 7 months pregnant with me, and with a 5-year-old girl, and at gunpoint overnight, you have to leave. And she left without her husband, with my grandmother, and came to a country that she did not speak the language, that they were in a refugee camp. And the reason this is so important is because I felt all of that fear through her. And so for some of us, there are things that have happened that we weren't even physically born yet, that we can unpack. And again, these are all stories. What is the actual truth? For me, the gift in the story is, how can I extract the lesson? How can I rejoice and celebrate in the gift? So she came here, and I was born in a very violent situation. My first childhood memories are of my mum's blood on the walls. And she was beaten while pregnant. She was beaten because she stood up very profusely. She was rolling chapatis, sat on the floor. There was a shelf above her head, and she was fully pregnant with me. And the shelf above her head had sugar on it. And I must have kicked her. She jumped, hit her head on the shelf. The sugar fell, and because it was expensive, she got beaten for it. So the reason I share this is because throughout all of my mum's life, she had this innate power to love unconditionally. This ability to live in the duality that we've been speaking of this whole summit. She loved my dad beyond what was possible. She taught us as children, and I'm one of 3 girls, and her legacy lives on through our veins of how strong and how soft we can be all at once. And so that was the first childhood memory. And then things settled down once my father was able to provide and protect and really honor his beautiful bride. And so I come to age 13, and I had learned throughout my 13 years that if I was the good girl and I was perfect, I wouldn't get beaten. My sisters would get beaten, but I had figured out the formula, right? Backfired on me though, or did it? I became so obsessed with being perfect that I lost half my body weight, that my period stopped. And here's what I learned in all of that. That when I put my mind to something, there is no stopping me. And there was a pivotal moment when I remember distinctly. I was at the doctor's surgery, age 13. And the doctor said to me, Dimple, you have a choice here. You either start eating or you die. Your organs are shutting down. It's as simple as that. And there was this was the first moment I ever felt this divine guidance from, I don't know where then, but I know now it was within me, for me, around me. And it was this message. You have so much more to do on this planet. It's not your time. It's not your time. And I began to eat. That was the first time I ever felt beyond me. I felt the collective. I felt it all. And I remember my mother saying she had the same feeling when she attempted suicide, that she was pulled back. She was pulled back. And so the reason I shared this piece with you is that there will be moments in your life when you are shown through and it can be a short, tiny, like Lisa said, a whisper, right? A whisper. It can be a signal. It can be something through the most pivotal moment in your life. Capture those. Celebrate them. Embrace them. Hold them dear in your heart. You may not know the reason why in that moment. But 20 years later, when I had 2 girls myself, I wrote a book. It was the reason I became a clinical dietitian. And I wrote a book and I developed a model called Your Food Freedom. And it was all about your relationship with food, your intuition, and evidence-based nutrition. And the reason I wrote that book is because I didn't want any mother of any child to go through what my mother did. And so there's always good in the shit. There's always good in the shit. You just gotta be patient sometimes. And so then I come to the birth of, well, before I married the love of my life, my best friend, this beautiful man who's been my protector my whole life. And that was a story because we were raised as brother and sister. His father and my grandfather were best friends in Africa. And when everybody was evicted out of Africa, because of my husband and my older sister were in the same school year, we got homed in the same community. And my father-in-law actually said to my mother, "You don't have any family here. And so I will be your brother. I will protect you." And so every time mum got beaten, she would go to their house. And my mother-in-law that is now would feed her, patch her up, take care of her, and send her back. And so this is the caliber of the man, the heritage, the protection. And so this beautiful man, we got married, even though we weren't meant to, against all our family. I had doctors and lawyers that were betrothed to me, and my husband doesn't have any qualifications. He's self-made. My dad, I remember saying that he was a bum, and how is he going to keep you in the life you're accustomed to? We married because of love. And so we didn't want children. I didn't want children. I didn't want children. He wanted a football team. This is something we perhaps should have spoke about before we got married. Nobody knew about personal development then. Nobody knew which questions to ask. I was 22. And we got married. We had an incredible year. And in that year, my mum passed away suddenly at 47. She was amazing. This woman, amazing. And I'll come on to her. So we had Maya, who's 25. She was 25 last week, through Russian roulette. I didn't want children. He wanted children. And this is the craziness of manifesting. There was a slight window of a pang I got at 24 when I was getting migraines with the pill. And I said to him, okay, I'll come off the pill for a month. Let's just see how we go. And the whole time I was like, because I was going to change pills, the whole time I was like, oh, please God, please God, please God, please God, please God, please God, just let me have my period. of course I had my period. And then the next month we conceived with Maya. So miracles happen. And I have to say that this gift from God, motherhood, sometimes we are guided and we get gifted what we don't realize that we needed in the most unexpected ways. What Maya did for me was help me understand my capacity to love unconditionally. Like the expansion. I had no idea that I could love so deep. And I got gifted that opportunity. Maya chose me as her mom. And so we tried after Maya for another baby, because when my mum passed, the only people that could comfort me were my sisters. And in a weird way, I didn't want Maya to be alone when that happened for her. And so we tried for a baby. And 2 years in, we conceived with twins. And I was like, holy shit, that would mean 3 babies under 3. I honestly, you guys who have twins, Lisa, Juliet, holy shit. Right? That's no fun, or it is, whichever. Anyway, I was blessed to have 5 babies transition through me over 5 years. Those babies were a gift. Those babies were the ability for me to really understand the gift of motherhood. And at the time, I didn't understand that. And looking back now, because those 5 babies transitioned through us, we were gifted Kira 6 years on. And oh my God, this child, she challenges from the moment she was born, from the pregnancy. I, at that point, didn't know that being pregnant meant having a baby, because I'd associated being pregnant with miscarrying. So I didn't know that we would ever hold her. And we held this child. And I swear to God, Maya was sent because she taught me capacity to love. Kira was sent because she taught me the ability to be a teacher and a student at the same time. How can I learn and be the mentor and the mentee at the same time? She annihilated hierarchy for me. This child, from the moment she was born, did life her way. She was in hospital from age 2, covered in wounds, had severe food allergies, never once complained. Dyslexic from age 8, like this child, oh my God. And I remember her coming home from school one day at 15, and she said, okay, Mom, I'm done with school. And I'm so proud of the way my husband and I parented in this moment, because we didn't say, no, you're not. You have to finish school, get back to school. We actually said, okay, tell us more. What's going on for you? And she said, here are the options. She said, I don't feel like I belong there anymore. not because they aren't nice to me, but because the conversation for me is lipstick and nail polish. And I love lipstick and nail polish. And I want to have conversations about manifesting and your purpose in life and like business. Like she had her first business at age 8. She wanted to, and successful business, right? And so she sat with us and she said, listen, I have 2 options and I'm consulting with you on these 2 options. One is, can I go to this online school and I can travel the world with you? Because at this point I was doing Tony Robbins Platinum Partners. I was traveling the world. Or 2, I'm going to interview this tutor on Sunday to see if he is a good fit for me. Age 15. Holy fuck. Right. She's like, I'm going to check him out. Oh, and by the way, I will fund this, because at this point, collectively with us, she was trading in crypto. So she had the resources to fund her own education. Anyway, she chose the online tutor, and he was incredible. He got her from D's to B's in less than 6 months and was incredible. And so the reason I share all this with you is because what if we don't have to do it the way everybody else says we have to, the way society says we have to? What if we can just go with our hearts and feel for what feels right without knowing whether it's going to turn out right or not? I still don't know how it's going to turn out. Today, I sit here in so much uncertainty with so much that's going on in my life that I can't share for legal reasons, but there is so much beauty and comfort in the uncertainty. What I have come to learn is that when I cap my potential with certainty, I only get what I can imagine. When I allow and trust, and oh my God, I have allowed and trust so many times. It's magical. What can happen? And so I want to share this one story. In fact, what I'm being called to share right now is the whole piece of coming into the channel. And the craziness of how we can be so aligned and so connected in so many ways. I
love that that's the transition, first of all. If I only go for what I can imagine, then I can only ever, I'm tapped, right? It's like the field of predictability, possibility, potentiality. If I only go with what I know I can get, then I'm capped only to what I can imagine. Actually, this makes me want to talk about the channel where nothing we knew. So this is like the perfect segue. Go for it.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? So the call with the hair in the towel, right? Let's talk about that. Okay, so it was a really wild moment for me because I had been traveling through America. It was COVID, and I had been traveling through America, literally going from one Dr. Joe event to another, and how I went from one Dr. Joe event to another without any tickets, without, that is another story in itself. I've actually done a whole piece on that on my podcast. And so we'd reached our 3 months that our visa would allow us, my husband and I, to stay in America. And as we do, winging it, we'd booked a flight to go to Dubai. And we had to have a COVID test to make sure so that we could actually get on the flight. And so we went with our suitcases all packed on the way to the airport. We'd just finished an event in Florida, and we were driving to Miami. So we had 5 hours. So we'd gone to the COVID fast rapid test, and we'd had loads of these. So we knew we didn't have COVID. It was fine. It was fine. And we get to the rapid COVID test, and we have to wait 45 minutes. There's a hair salon next door. So I'm thinking, I'll just go get my hair done, right, while I'm waiting. So we store the luggage in the back of the salon. My husband has a walk round. Half an hour later, he comes back to me, and I'm in the middle of getting my hair blowed. And he comes back to me and he says, and I went, what? He went, you've got COVID. And I hadn't, like, I wasn't vaccinated. I hadn't, like, it's the first time. We've been traveling the frigging world all through COVID. Like, I'd been in Spain for 6 months. I'd been like, and he said, and I have to leave because my visa won't allow me to stay. You're going to have to write to the embassy because you're not allowed to leave. We're going to have to get a apartment or something for you, and I have to go to Dubai. Talk about stepping in the unknown. So I took a breath and I thought, just finish my hair, it'll all be fine. And in finishing my hair, I got an Airbnb, and I had this vision that dropped. I was writing my second book, and my publisher had a deadline, 3 weeks, and my publisher was on my case. But I knew if I went to Dubai, I'd just fart around. It'd be so much fun, right? And I then had this vision, I need to be by the water to complete this book. And I found this Airbnb right by some water with a veranda overlooking this like piece of water. I don't know what you call it. In England, we would call it like a reservoir, but there you call it something different. I don't know. So anyway, I'm in this apartment by myself. My husband drops me off. He has to go. We have to undo all the bags because all our clothes were mixed up. And he had to go to get an Uber to Miami. Otherwise, he would have missed his flight. So I'm in this apartment by myself. It's beautiful, $50 a night. It was brilliant. And I started to become severely ill. Like, I thought I would have to be hospitalized. I had to get IVs. I had nobody to be there to, like, luckily in America, you can get everything delivered. So food, everything, right? So not that I was eating much. So this was probably about 2 weeks in. And so I hadn't showered or anything because I was so cold. I was literally in bed and trying to write and in bed and getting medicine. And I had so many beautiful people send me medicine. And then it must have been about 12 o'clock, 12:30, 1 o'clock. I got this like feeling, go for a shower. Now, I never shower in the middle of the day, especially not when I'm ill. Like either I shower first thing in the morning or I have a bath in the evening. And I hate washing my hair because it's so thick. I like to get it blow dried, right? I just hate washing it. I'm like, go for a shower. I'm like, I'm not going for a shower. I'm cold. I am not going. So I fought with this for 20 minutes. Got to 1 o'clock, 5 to 1. And I thought, I have to go for a shower. So I went for a shower. And it's like, wash your hair. No, I am not washing my hair. No. The next thing I know, I'm washing my hair. I never wash my hair. I always get it blowed, right? Never wash my hair. So I'm like, oh God, why am I washing my hair in the middle of the afternoon? I had no idea that you were coming on. Zero, because I'd lost all reality of time with this COVID bubble, right? So I'm there with this white towel and my hair in a turban. It's 1:10, and put Facebook on. Then a notification comes up. You just come on with your hair in a turban.
Oh my God.
Why is it Melanie looks always so pristine? Why, like, she really cares about, why is she in a turban? It was the wildest thing. It was like so weird. And then you're like giving all this about this whole thing that's coming through for you. And like, makes total sense. It was like you were like reading me a storybook. That's how much sense it made to me. And no sense at the same time. So I didn't join then because I was like, just need this to process, and I wasn't getting a full sacral yes. It was just like, just let this unfold a bit. Let this unfold a bit. And then it went to 15 and nothing. It went to 20, and then I was like, oh, this is a hell yes now. Why is it a yes now? I could have got a bag in at 10. And I was like, clearly that's the value it's meant to be for me. That is the value. So then I messaged the Alpha Fem team, and 4 times the link didn't go through. It didn't work. I was like, fuck the link. Send me her bank details. Let's just do a wire. So we just ended up doing a wire. I knew there was no panic that I wouldn't get in. Zero. And this is what I want to share, that this absolute divine certainty to trust. It's not about the price. It's not about the price. It's about, for me, acting when I get that hell yes, and knowing that I'm always taken care of.
I want to shine a light on something, because I'm literally in these conversations in my life now. It feels like this is the conversation with marketplace and buyer and everything. So I just want to, because of so many people here in these programs, when I talk about, it's not about the price, it's about the buyer. That's what I mean. 10,000, you might tell yourself in your head, like, if a person won't buy something for 10,000, there's no way they'll buy it for 20. That's the way most people think. They're saying, I'm having a hard time selling my stuff at $100. Nobody will buy it for 500. I'm having a hard time selling $1,000 offer. People won't buy it. It's not about the price you think. It's about the price they think. And I know this because I'm the same. I've had things in my life show up at a certain price and not get any feeling about it. And then when it's 10 times the price, I'm like, that I'm supposed to get that for myself. And so it's just knowing, like, intuitive buyers, people who buy not from logic, but by energetic match, by sacral, by emotional authority, by splenic authority. They're not processing logic. They're buying from a very different place. And so that's why it's so important for us to get really clean with the energy of selling, because I think that this offer that I made was the cleanest energy, because I couldn't muddy it up. I didn't even know how to muddy it up. I didn't know what it was going to be. It was the cleanest sales energy I've ever had, because it was like, I don't know what it is. I just know I'm the one that's going to deliver it. And the people were like, I don't know what it is. I just know I'm the one receiving it. And that was it. And so just remember, it's not because something is less expensive that it's the right price.
I love that. I love that. And it brings me beautifully onto our call in the channel. And I remember it so well, because it was another pivotal moment in my life. I remember something that you said in that call to me. And before I come onto it, it was, the reason it was so pivotal is because in the channel, so many things happened for me. It was my first $1 million in my business in no time at all, from nowhere. And, you know, you said to me, it's because you're an energetic match to hold that value. And it's interesting because I am also that buyer, right? It's the energetic match to hold that value. And it's wild because my business has really evolved as I've gone through things. I started off supporting women with their nutrition because I'm a clinical dietitian. Then I evolved through to the energetics of that as theta healing came in my life. And then I evolved that modality as I realized that my ability to see souls, my ability to see who you really are, your power in who you are, has always been there. And it's gone through my mother's line. And I remember sharing that story with you in the channel of how my mother always had this spiritual connection. The veil was so thin for her. She just wasn't understood in that time. That's all. And so all these like puzzles, pieces of the jigsaw has meant that the evolution of my work has been an accumulation, a compounding effect of all the experiences and the knowledge and the lessons that I've learned. And so the business evolved from nutrition to energetics. Then I had my own experience with my relationship through a 2-hour intervention with Tony Robbins, where he literally broke me down. And again, I've done a whole podcast on that, and how my man just rose from the ashes, from nowhere, to take Tony Robbins down, to protect and provide for me. Like, the story is just insane. Go check out the podcast. But he literally was ready to like fight him to protect me. And it was the divine illustration of the masculine and the feminine, and how through that I realized that he had always been there to protect and provide for me. But what was I not seeing? What was I fearful of? Why had I put a wall up? And that was a wall of protection, but I was actually protecting from my own love and his. And so when that came down, we worked on our relationship, and I became obsessed with relationship and your femme fatale, and so pivotal, and witnessing your relationship and how you navigate it, though not necessarily the same for me, not aligned in how I would do it, because my life is different. I'm in a different season. But so many nuggets on how you interact with Kevin and how Kevin interacts with you, right? And so then it evolved to relationships, and relationships with high-end executives, because that's who I'm married to. I understand that beast. I understand what it is to be a woman supporting that. And so I became the energetic match for very high net worth one-to-one clients. And I remember distinctly on that call that me saying, and it was wild, and I still like I'm blown away that he sent his private jet to pick me up from West Palm Beach. Like, crazy. And yet the thing that you said to me now, oh God, it's buried in my heart, because this was 6 years on from starting my business, and you said pineapple season is here. Yeah.
So this is important because a lot of the people in the summit are new to our world, and they don't know what pineapple season means. And it's been a couple of times now that people mention it. And so I just want to give you a brief overview of what this means. So a few years back in 2019 in Hawaii, Kevin and I went to the Dole pineapple plantations, biggest pineapple plantation in the world. And they've got this little train ride that goes through the pineapple fields where you sit and they tell you all about how pineapples grow. And Kevin loves that kind of stuff. I'm more sit by the pool and eat a pineapple. He's like, let's go find out how it is made. We're very different in that sense. And so next thing, we are crammed in the back of a tiny little trolley in the back of the Pineapple Express at the Dole plantation. And I'm listening, and Kevin's like 6'5". He's curled in with his knees literally jammed in the front seat. He's so happy. And I'm like, oh goodness. But you know what? He loves it. I love it. And so he loves it. So I love it. This is what I should say. He loves it. So I love it. I love his joy. I love his excitement. But I'm more like filming it because I'm like, I'm going to see the beauty on this ride. And that's going to be the vibe for me. Until I actually pay attention to what's being said in the microphone. And one of the things that really blew my mind during that moment is I'd been to the Dole pineapple plantation before, and I'd never picked up on this, but they were explaining that pineapples take 18 months to grow. And that one plant makes one pineapple, and then they take the pineapple off, and then it makes a second pineapple, and then they pull the whole plant, or else it's not sweet enough, and then they plant a new crown, and the whole thing starts over. And I don't know what happened, but it's like I had a life-altering moment. On the drive back from the pineapple plantation, I wrote this post that was pineapples take 18 months to grow, one pineapple plant at a time. When the first pineapple is ready, it's harvested, and then another crown is planted in its place. It takes longer to create a pineapple than a human life, up to twice as long. And sometimes we're giving up on our dreams because it feels like they're not coming to fruition as fast as we think they should. But what if Mother Nature, God, the universe, they heard us? They received the seed. Mm-hmm. And the ray of hope from our hearts and souls and the rain of our intuition and beliefs is watering the crops beneath us. And even though we can't see it underneath the soil, magic is happening. And so next time you question the timing of the universe, thinking that things should happen faster, if you're about to give up on yourself because you can't see the materialized fruit of what you've planted, just remember, golden fruits with crowns are worth being patient for, and pineapple season is coming. And this pineapple season is coming became a mantra in the Alpha Femme brand. Like, you don't give up because pineapple season is coming. You don't give up because pineapple season is coming. And in this call with Dimple, when she was in disbelief with what was happening, like all of a sudden from going to like, I wish to, I have, and trying to integrate that, because how do I feel this? Is it real? Can I actually believe, like, is this real? Do I deserve this? All these things. And I said, pineapple season is here. And I felt the magnetism between the both of us. It was like, we got it in that moment. And she was like, and I was like, and it was this moment of, we nailed the coaching, like we got it. That was such a good moment.
It was just magical. And it was like and I want to share this with you. It was like a code hit me. And this is something that you are so gifted at. Your frequency is so potent, and you provide so many portals, and it's up to us to decide whether we accept and receive and move, right? All you do is create the opportunity, the codes, and I don't mean all you do. I mean the gift that you give us is create that opportunity in codes, and we get to decide. And that's the beauty. You don't pull us, you don't drag us, you stand in who you are and honor who you are. And I'm so grateful for that leadership, that role modeling, because it really feels truly aligned for me as well. And that's why I'm able to hold the clients that I do and expand the business that I have in a way that feels so aligned. And yes, I still make mistakes. Hell, bring them. It means I'm learning more. Bring them. It means I'm growing, because how I navigate them is so different now. So different. So thank you.
What an incredible story. I feel like this, for me, every single part of this story is such an incredible example. And with that 6-line role model and the 3-line that's constantly going to rise like a phoenix, you really are just doing what you're supposed to do right now, which is teaching and leading from every lesson learned while being brave enough to understand more lessons are coming. Like that really is, that's the assignment right now. And sometimes when we figure out and we hear what our assignment is, there's a moment of like, wait, okay, I'm good with all the wisdom and teaching part, but what was that last part about how there's going to be more stuff? Like, what's that part? Say that bit again about how there's going to continue to be stuff. When I found out about my 3-line, I was like, whoa, this Phoenix rising thing, I'm going to have that my whole life. Does it ever expire? No, I'm not sure about that. But on the day where you understand the assignment, there's a power that hits you. And I feel like you're standing in that power right now, in full ownership of what still needs work and in full ownership of how much work you've done. And I feel like that is where you will be the most beneficial to yourself, to the world, is in the acknowledgement of all of that, because it feels like you hold the codes of possibility. When people hear you can go through that and make it there, and you can make it there and still have stuff you need to work on, and you can still trust in the future. Those are really important things to hear. And so congratulations for everything you've built. It's such a powerful story, what happened during your time in the channel. I really am so happy. And I'm excited to see what else you do in this beautiful life.
I love
I
you.
want to read your bio now.
Thank you.
Dimple's accolades range from being a regular guest expert on the BBC, best-selling author, host of Beyond the Words podcast, international speaker, to being featured on Tony Robbins' podcast. Her high net worth clients call her the soul seer, all while being the living proof of her work, from investing in her marriage of 28 years to raising 2 beautiful young women and creating a 7-figure mentor and healing business in less than 18 months. Her being touches hearts and souls, moving mountains in their lives in quantum time. She has endless stories of people she met once and years later share how one conversation changed everything. Her voice and healing frequencies have resurrected the bedbound back to their feet. Her voice and healing frequencies have resurrected the bedbound back to their feet in not years, minutes. Healed generational curses for life and guided endless couples to happiness through alignment, helping both men, women, and couples on a path to purpose-driven fulfillment while enhancing and optimizing their spiritual growth, relationships, and financial success. Be sure you'll be dimpled, defined permission to be your authentic self. I just really want to congratulate you again for a beautiful talk. Those stories were very meaningful and very beautiful, and you had a lot of poise in the delivery of them. Thank you for letting people know ahead of time also that it could be challenging to hear. I feel that was really well done. The most important thing, again, that just keeps coming back for me to remind you during the summit is, like, if every single person you listen to, if you could take a little piece of this person's journey and say, how does this help me in my being a daughter? How does this help me in being a mother? How does this help me in being a wife, a woman? How does this help me in believing in my dreams? How does this help me in following my intuition? How does this help me in saying yes when it's got to be yes, and saying wait when it's got to be wait? And how does this help me to manifest what I'm an energetic match for, and hold it and keep it and make the decisions that I need to make for me? How does this help me? If that's how you're seeing it instead of she did, then you're bridging a gap with every single person that's speaking here, because this stuff, it's transferable. And I was watching something last night. I was watching Yellowstone last night, and there was a scene in Yellowstone where someone says, we didn't have people showing us how to do, it was a kid that was good at rodeo at a very young age. And this one guy who started midlife, doing rodeos, like, how is this kid so good? And the guy responds, he had 3 champions teaching him how to rodeo. He was already winning competitions by the time he was 9. And when we look at where a lot of us didn't have that, we didn't have multimillionaires that we grew up with teaching us the ropes, explaining business, explaining what your word means, fighting for what you believe in, going for it hard, like seeing success, seeing the celebration that comes with hard work, but also seeing that the hard work has to continue. Because we didn't have those examples, a lot of us put success on a pedestal. It was something we saw so far removed that we never understood the duality of it. And so coming into adulthood with these dreams and being willing to say, let me bring these people in as my chosen family. Let me forevermore get to say, I have 33 sisters who did this journey and that can teach me, and I can plug into what they know anytime, because these things will be on YouTube and they'll be available to rewatch in the Alpha Femme group. What if you saw it as like this? Every single woman who breaks free and who becomes who she's meant to be in this world is creating a lineage that you get to call sisterhood. And you get to do that, and you get to create that lineage that they will call sisterhood. And at the end of the day, there will be no woman that comes into the world saying no woman taught her the ropes, because there will always be ropes available for them to swing on. We will put ropes everywhere to make sure everyone can swing from the reality they're in to the reality they're going to, with the right mentor, the right sister, the right friend, the right story. And we're just making sure that the world is full, so no one ever has the excuse that no one was there to teach them. So if you feel like this summit is helpful. If you feel like someone you know should be in here, if it could give them a code in their relationship, their marriage, their business, it doesn't matter what you're picking up, invite them, because this really, we have a very big, beautiful purpose for this. And I feel like you're starting to get the potency and the point of what we're doing here. So Dimple, thank you so much for such a vulnerable share. This was so beautiful. Thank you for an incredible 2 years together. I'm so grateful for everything that happened. And I can't wait to see everything that you become in this world, because you're on a roll.
Can I just share one last thing?
Go for it.
Yeah, I just want to leave people with just understanding that there's one moment, just one moment in time. And that moment's now. And if you can just love in that moment with whatever you're doing, whatever's happening, just that one moment. You've always taught us this, and I live by it, the presence of now, just this one moment at a time. So
thank you, Dimple. Thank you for everything. We are going to be having Radhika coming this afternoon, and then we're ending with Tara at the end of the day. And so please join us for these next 2 calls. We've got magic in store for you, and the channel continues. Thank you for your presence. We appreciate you so much, and we will see you on the internet.